Imagine that between so many birds in the sky, one stray from its friends and decides to feed at your window. Every day before the others depart, it begins to eat the small grains of rice you leave it for it there. You never bother to feed it to build a relationship with it, but one day, something emerging from the shadow of the darkness echoed louder, deciding that it doesn't just want the bird there to feed, but to have it by its side for all time. So, in a plan, when you leave the grains in your hands, the moment that winked in the sands lands there, your eyes widen and you gather your strength to close both hands, blocking out every ounce of light that could slip through the cracks. Little did the bird know that its fate from then on was to live trapped by a desire that would lock it in a cage to suffer eternally in despair. Hi Lilacs, my name is Steven Ray. What is yours? I want to talk about the movie Obsession, which caught my attention, and share some reflections I had about it. This won't be 100% faithful analysis of every event in the film, but be warned, it will contain spoilers for the most important parts. Then, get quickly your one wish willow, for we are down to another win. I I feel trapped. I think about you all the time, Nikki. I can't help it. You're in every song I listen to. You're the only person who was nice to me when I moved here and when Grandma died. I didn't even want to talk, but you stayed here. And I think don't even nothing. She's too good and you're going to lose her. But I think you need to know I would choose you over everything. We humans are social beings who have always felt the need to express everything we feel, and the strongest emotion has always been romantic love. Bear, our protagonist, starts the movie confessing his feelings to his friend and a waitress, but pretending she's Nikki. It's a way for him to perhaps build up confidence for when the time comes to say how he truly feels. His friend, Ian, tells him he definitely shouldn't do that, warning that would probably just scare Nikki. But if it is that risky, who is Nikki? In their group of friends who work at a music store, Nikki is the one who makes everyone feel good about being there. Her beauty manifests in her actions. She shows she cares about everyone around her, especially her friends. You could say she has a heart of gold, but that doesn't change the fact that she's human. After this fake date at the coffee shop with his friend, Bear returns home and we are shown a scene with his cat, Sandy, dead from ingesting painkillers. Bear deeply feels the loss of the cat. As a form to not feel the pain of loss, he lies on his bed and starts scrolling through his friend's Nikki Instagram. Looking at her seems to temporarily feel a hurt so deep inside him that his cat, death, only seemed to tear wider. His eyes show that he's holding on to the hope that if Nikki's feeling matched with his own, it might act as a temporary bandage for all his agony. Man, you're so lucky I answered. It's hell in here right now. I had to take a day off. Oh, right, because you worked so hard, huh? Oh, by the way, what time you're getting here? I wanted to grab a table for us. I don't think I can go today. Oh, Bear, don't do this to me. Only with your brain can we beat the others at the quiz. It's just that today I don't think I can. I have some things to start. I was going to tell you something. What it is? Do you want me to tell you now? Yes, I'm going to quit my job and shit! Damn it! is everything okay over there? No, I dropped my crystal necklace down the drain. Ugh. Before heading to the bar, Bear stops by a shop to buy another crystal for Nikki. Out of so many options, only a vibrant red one captures his full attention. A one-wish willow is exactly what you call a mystical scam or a silly ritual. Upon breaking the magic willow, if a wish is made speaking or mentally, it will come true. However, once done, there is no turn back. Bear gives up on the crystal and decides to buy the willow for Nikki instead. The entire sequence at the bar feels like a lucid dream of a calm and good energy. Pure and honest friendship lives there. There seems to be no conflict among them. Everything is full of color, but Bear is the only one feeling a nervousness that consumes him entirely. A constant discomfort that his friend keeps urging him to brush off. Still, he's certain he loves Nikki, and that tonight is the night that declares it. When everyone gathers to buy more drinks, Bear desperately tries to find a way that will lead to truth he so badly wants to confess, but keeps getting interrupted.
Got a card for the shots? I went to the store. Open or close? Dropped your guys, Sarah. I went to the store.
I didn't realize we were all taking.
When they finally leave the place, we notice that only one gaze stays after everyone else departs. Sarah, one of the girls in the four-person friend group, stayed behind to hear what he had to say. He tells her his cat Sandy died, and she opens her arms to comfort him. It's not that the others didn't want him to listen, but Sarah's eyes seemed permanently fixed on him, and just like him, had feelings to confess. Leaving the bar, everyone is exhausted. Nikki says she wants to go home, and Bear offers to drive her. Only Sarah and Ian stay behind to party a bit more. On the ride back, we get a moment where there is nothing to interrupt them. A moment where they can talk openly and rawly. I'm so sorry about Sandy. I don't think it's fully hit me yet. Well, you can call me when it does. I'm going to missing you every day at work. I need to leave. I'm not happy there. But it's just a job, Nikki. Yeah, but I want to write, and I need to feel love for this story to come to life, and I don't feel that there. Love? So it's a romance? No, it's not a romance. It's a love history. The car ride from the bar to her house lose some of its colors, bringing a silence that calms all the previous euphoria. Bear didn't know the difference between love and romance until then, and this shows that there is a state of being ready for a relationship. This is a sign that he isn't, but having the courage to risk showing your truth is what truly makes you love someone. When confronted by Nikki, who asks if he likes her, Nikki, I really like you and I think that I'm in love with you, but that's okay if you don't feel the same. I'm sorry that I call you that. I just don't feel confident enough to say this. Sorry, but I love you. He falls in silence and retreats, saying he values their friendship. This upset her, not because of the answer itself, but because she felt he wasn't being honest. He even backs out of giving her the present. In the silence after Nikki's get out of the car, drowning in his internal disappointment, failing to do what he wanted so badly, he decides to open the
One wish
and make a wish. I wish Nick Friedman to love me more than anyone in this fucking world. The silence now seemed defeating. We feel how disappointed he is, especially because he actually believed it would come true. But there is a shadow right at Nikki's door. Taking a step, it is revealed to be her. She appears frozen, as if her control is being drained by something holding her there, immobilized, in a disbelief at something. Before Bear can even process what he's seeing, Nikki rushes to the car and asks about the gift that opened to them. We thought she on purpose had forgotten, but something ignited a flame. Now she wanted it. Nikki begins throwing words at Bear, and her consciousness seems to melt as she speaks. Her mouth twists and insistent phrases demanding that he come inside. Her brain seems to be melting out of her ears, making room for something else. Is this Nikki? After stumbling through nonsensical sentences, she convinces him to take her to his house. I don't know if I can be alone right now. My dad is dying. I took one step inside the house and I couldn't go in. Let's get out of here. On the way, small nuggets of a realization begins to sprout in Bear's mind. It wasn't that he started believing the witch had worked, but he knew something had happened. He had convinced himself that he knew Nikki so well, yet he didn't even know she had a father dying of cancer. At Bear's house, Nikki explores his place and starts saying strange things. Wow, it smells like you. But Bear keeps dodging her advances, remaining cool. Before Bear goes to sleep on the couch, since Nikki took his bed, Nikki says she isn't ready to sleep alone and call him over. The night begins to take on a strange feeling. When they lie down together, Nikki starts opening up for him and kissing him. But before she can give herself fully to him, Nikki's humanity returns for a second. She jerks away terrified, falling back onto the bed. Her look of sheer terror is as if she's seen the most scariest thing in her life. But a door slams shut in the face of her spirit, and the thing habitating her body returns.
I'm so sorry.
After his excuses, they go back to sleep. Unable to sleep, Bear takes over after so many doubts. He gets up to find some answers. On his computer, he researched more about One Wish Willows. The results don't surprise him, as he already formed the answer in his head. And if it really worked, how wrong was he to let Nikki remain that state? The next day, the morning he threw would never come after all the weirdness of the previous night finally arrives. Walking to the kitchen, he sees breakfast made. Right beside it, it's the body of Sandy, his deceased cat, laid upon a cloth with candles arranged in a weird sort of memorial. Nikki had done that. Even though he say it is wrong, we will see as the week progresses that a body can be more disrespected. Much more. At the music store, the remains of the night linger. Nikki seems to be cursed, her eyes completely glued to Bear. The plot is no longer about friends but about Nikki and Bear. Bear and Nikki. Just as we are about to suffocate from the heavy atmosphere, everything seems to calm down by the time they leave. Nikki's spell looks like ended. She even asks Ian to take her home and treats Bear him purely as a friend, as if she too wanted to forget the previous night. Perhaps Bear's theories were wrong, and Nikki was just suffering from a psychotic episode, which earlier at work his friend had suggested was caused by MDMA. Home alone, Bear is on a call with Ian, resigning himself to the idea that it was just all the effects of drugs. He hears the doorbell ring. Who could it be? Well, her name enters in the scene once again. Nikki is right at his door, covered in shadows again. The red of her dress pales in a comparison to how heavily her face is hiding in the dark. I came to apologize for yesterday. I shouldn't take anything. I ended getting back into MD. It's okay. Do you remember anything? I ended acting weird and doing things I don't normally do because of this thing with my dad. And of course, I'm not saying he took advantage of Nikki. I didn't know you did use drugs. That's not what I said. Being confronted and having his fragile morality weaponized against him bothers Bear. Even though Nikki says he didn't take advantage of her, being called out felt like a slight against him. As if souls were swept with Nikki's body, her expressions, she suddenly blurts out that she knows Bear likes her. Her eyes don't seem to match the words she's speaking, but even as Bear steps back, she asks the exact same question from the night before. Bear, do you like me? Yeah, I do. We then see a montage of a perfect, happy life of them together. It's as if Bear's dreams have taken form, and for the first time, he feels happy living in his own body. But unless you're dead, dreams eventually end, and what's the price of this dream? The wider Nikki's eyes grow, unblinking as they stare at his face, the more realize this could never be real. Together with Bear, they could never actually leave this. At dinner's day, the two are talking until Bear receives 2 calls from Ian, his best friend, who at this point could easily be erased from their lives. Bear decides to answer to see if it is important. While he's on the call, Nikki waits attentively, her gaze locked into him, even when she's out of focus in the background, refusing to exit the scene. Hey, I'm busy. Hanging out with Nikki? What do you want? I don't want to gossip or anything, but after you told me about her dad, who she's never even called, I looked him up. The guy is in perfect health, doing great. And Sarah told me that Nikki confessed to her that she only saw you as a friend and a little brother. Bear, this is really weird, man. It's like Nikki turns into a completely different person out of nowhere. She's madly in love with you. After the truth hits him right in the face, realization has sunk far below the floor, he walks back to the table as if walking straight to the electric chair, sitting down with Nikki to confront her with the truth. Nikki, does your dad really have cancer?
What did I do wrong? No! Why are you leaving me? If I didn't do anything wrong, I don't understand. I thought you liked me!
She stands from the table and starts screaming a lot of no.
No! I thought we were having a nice day! Why does it matter? I thought we were having a nice day!
Why does that matter? Just when we think that after all the horror and the answers is screaming at Bear that yes, this was not Nikki. The question if that mattered, if her lying or being disloyal to herself mattered to him, echoes an answer more terrifying than any blood splashed on screen. For me, it doesn't matter. This is followed by a scene I could never bring myself to watch again due to its brutality. It's a scene where Nikki and Bear have sex. Bear devours her. He tears her apart completely, destroying her like a starving bear. He doesn't punish her with death, but rather with the inability to choose whether she wants to leave or not. But like everything in life, brutality is paid back in blood and bone. If Bear wanted to devour her, then he would have to endure a lot of blood splattered across his face. We get a preview of this on the night after Nikki's death. While sleeping, Bear wakes up, opens his eyes, and turns to find Nikki missing from her side of the bed. He starts searching, his pupils slowly dilate. And in the middle of the darkness, he sees a figure in Nikki's body standing perfectly still in the corner of the room. Its face is impossible to make out, seemingly deformed, but the static figure remains there, just watching him sleep. Bear no longer has the right to lay his head on his pillow with a clear conscience, for guilty now manifests in Nikki's screams, echoing through every corner of his home. And when he tries to run from his own actions, his door is locked, barred by the very savagery he allowed to grow stronger and stronger. At work, Bear and Sarah find themselves organizing some boxes. Bear tries to confront her about what Ian said, that Sarah claimed Nikki only saw Bear as a brother and a friend. Sarah denies, but admits she doesn't care about that. She just worried Nikki would hurt him. Ironically, Sarah sees hope and goodness in Bear because of the love growing inside her. Seeing Nikki and Bear so close only breaks her heart further. She jokingly picks up a note Nikki left in a lunch she packed for him. What's the verdict, cat? What does this mean? This is super weird. Bear, what does this mean? Bear? Bear! Oh my god, Bear! We watch the light in Bear's eyes darken. Bodies hold no value once you strip away from their dignity. Was it Nikki's fault for using his own cat flesh, or was it the fact that he refuses to take responsibility for his actions? His cat died because of his pills. Nikki is going insane and falling apart while he exploited. When Ian throws this in his face on the way home from work, Bear blames Nikki for not leaving him alone. After arguing over Bears if he was right or wrong, Ian invites him to a party at his house but explicitly says Nikki isn't invited. The reason is that everyone knows something is wrong, yet much more like false moralists who discuss hunger while riding on the backs of the starving. Everyone is comfortable to just observe from afar until someone's blood is spilled. Arriving home, Bear decides to call the customer service center for the One Wish Willow. Yes, incredible, they have one. Hello? Hey, what's up? I just called to find out if there's any way to change a wish, not cancel it. Sorry, we don't do that. Okay, but it is real? Yeah, her love is real? Just because you choose it for her doesn't make it any less real. As long as you live, the wish will continue. When you die, the wish will disappear. But she does this thing where she seems like she's freaking out. Do you want to talk to her? Do you want to talk to her? Opening his front door, he turns on the lights and finds his girlfriend completely covered in her own excrement. She had stood there all day just waiting for him. The girl Nikki was at the beginning was now shattered and reconstructed. She is forced to watch her entire life, her right to her own body, come through a tiny window in her mind. And when he sees her in this inhumanist state, he doesn't ask if she's okay. He asks what happened and complains about the mess on his old carpet. And when a customer service rep told him the wishes actually work, his first rule wasn't to stop it but change the wish. A monster doesn't reveal itself at the beginning, but if given a trigger, if given a way to minimize the gravity of the situation, he will use the gun. At the party, Ian questions Bear about why he brought Nikki. Bear apologizes, claiming Sarah was the one who invited her. When they sit down, a sequence begins that will summon this couple as a purely horror. During a type of Jenga of truth or dare involving alcohol, it is Nikki's turn. The air was heavy, marked by a distant call of a bird. His face was somber, but I knew he was staring at my chest. So, come lie with me, as the old woman taught us when we were children, Hansel.
Gretel, you were not my wife.
I am more than your wife. I am your sister. When Bear gets a dare telling him to kiss the person on his left, which happens to be Sarah, a dead silence falls over the room. Nikki stands up, and the insanity possessing her, he wears an expression of pure rage, or perhaps it's mocking the fear of the others. She pushes her backward, forcefully positioning herself on Bear's left side so she can be the one kissed. After this horror show, fragments of the Nikki souls fight their way back to the surface. In a final, desperate scream of hope and revolt begging for help, she yells, "It's not me! It's not me!" But since no one truly cares the way she cared for their friends, at the dinner table, we see both of them in silence, avoiding the subject. Bear seems anesthetized by shame and remorse, not because Nikki got hurt, but because he can never truly have hurt again, and everyone has seen how broken they were. Like a reflection of Bear, she is a cold shadow that fears its own dreams, constantly needing to be someone else to be loved, but never able to be real. Her only emotions are fabricated to love Bear. When she is in a body, she lives in eternal freezing hell, where not even shadows can swallow you, because she is empty, and empty is a cold color that will always be there, but will never touch your true essence. In her own words, if you were something, you just abandon everything without feeling the thing. They lie down together, as there is nothing left to be done. This is what he has to live with now. But the rest of the world still exists. Sarah texts Bear asking him to meet her at the park, because she has a lot of things she needs to tell him. Before he leaves, we hear Nikki's final leaving breaths. Bear, I'm just going to get water. You me, please. What? She's sleeping. It's me. Please. What's so bad about being with me? I was never with you, Bear. Please kill me. Please. In Sarah's car, she and Bear meet. This is Sarah's last attempt to understand what is happening. She genuinely cares about him, and the false aura of kindness she perceived in Bear, due to his shy nature, made her believe Nikki was taking advantage of him to get back at Ian, since they were together casually. Come to think of it, why did Ian let Bear believe he ever had a chance with Nikki? Why hide it? The entire picture, the warmth of the friendship we felt at the beginning in the bar, reveals itself to be so freezing cold that we just didn't notice because we were burning up. The reality is that the entire trail of tragedy leading up was never impossible to stop, but they waited and waited. As they talk, Sarah reveals she got another letter from the college she applied to. Amid so many rejected letters, she still held on the hope of this one. But in this vortex of evil,
Hey. Hi. Hi.
to your left.
Sorry you had to see that, baby. But it is kind of your fault. She's ready, baby.
Now, burned with many bodiless ghosts claiming to bear us back, in utter desperation, he seeks out of more one-wish willows, buying the last remaining ones at the store where he got the first.
Fuck you! Hey, fuck you, man!
He goes to Ian explaining everything. Just when he thinks he has convinced him that the willows work and could help Nikki, Ian reacts like any skeptic.
I wish for $1 billion.
Ben realizes he will have to ask for help from the very person he had been avoiding. His hostage, who was wrapped around his little finger.
Nikki, you would do anything for me, right?
Sarah's body is stripped of her clothes and her scalp is propped up on a chair in the dining room.
I do everything for you, my love. I always have. Do you feel better now?
Nikki emerged from the shadows dressed in Sarah's clothes, her body completely covered in marker scribbles imitating Sarah's tattoos.
I need you to do something for me.
This was Bear's instinct. If he could never truly love a girl like Nikki, if he could never possess the goodness in her heart, then he would have witnessed exactly how much he had destroyed the poor friend who once dreamed of writing a book about love. Now, standing before him was pure, distorted romance, screaming so loud her lungs filled with blood. The last to go from the group of friends had to be Ian. When Nikki's screams decrease, Bear snatches the gun from her hand and manages to run to the bathroom, locking himself inside. But we know Bear. He couldn't kill himself because he didn't want the wish to end. Yet he will live long enough to be exposed as the true villain. Just like Sandy, he will be the one paying for a mistake. All the pills slide down his throat. Before he set her free from the cage that trapped her. And caught her between two things possessing a single body. Her eyes meet his. The blood looks like roses petals falling along the path their leaves can walk. Holding Bear's hand, he falls to his knees at her feet. This wasn't how she imagined their union would be immortalized, but collapsed on the couch. It won't be Bear's whose heart will die. Like Nikki, he will merely be a viewer watching someone else decide his fate. In Nikki's hand, his vomit spreads in as her tears mix with it as a final chance for them to be together. With the gun in her hands, she puts her finger on the trigger and shoots. The little bird once again sees the light of the sky perceiving through its feathers. Now, all that is left is to lie in the blood and the pain. The infinite pain.